Hey there, you are very welcome to today's episode of Corporate to Calm. I am speaking to Lisa Haisha from Soul Blazing. Lisa was a born star, and after her turning her back on Hollywood, she decided to pursue a career in traveling and went on her own trailblazing, soul blazing 60 country journey. She has visited the most obscure countries. She has spoken to what we perceive to be the most dangerous people who are simply just like me and you. I really hope you enjoy Lisa's journey from corporate to calm. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Corporate to Calm podcast. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I am so happy to be here.
Thank you. Listen, let's start. Tell me about you. Where did it all begin? How did you become a soul blazer?
Oh, it's a long story. I started in childhood, of course. I think one of the first instances was when I was 10 years old. My mother, my maternal grandmother came over and said that she went to a psychic and that her daughter would marry a foreigner and have 5 daughters and one would be a star. And then when I was 10, she came over and shared, oh, and your mom was 14. She said that she was going to marry a foreigner and she married a Middle Eastern guy and she had 5 daughters. So I said, I get to be the star. And my other sisters, I think it just went past them. They didn't care. They had other stuff going on. And I thought, what is a star? So I started reading biographies about Lauren Bacall and Audrey Hepburn and Liz Taylor and all these people. And I think that started to set something inside me where it gave me direction, where I started working on aspects of myself that would lend itself to eventually becoming that. But in my family, we were brought up to just go to school, get married and have kids and work in the local business. So, and you marry a good Chaldean, we're Christian Arabs, so a good Chaldean boy. And so moving to Los Angeles or to be a celebrity or a star was like not in the cards, but I'm secretly going, oh, that's what I'm going to do. It was my secret plan of action. And then when I was 16, there was an incident where I was baking a cake a couple of houses down at a friend's house. And when I came home, the streetlights were on because it was our other close friend's birthday the next day. And when I opened the door, my dad had a gun pointed at me, at my heart. And I'm like, what is going on here? And he's like, I came home, surprised. And this is what I find out. You're out on the streets at this time. And this was during Charles Manson and all that. So he was scared, having 4 teenagers, female in the house. And so he made me an example. But he started saying, send her to an orphanage. She can't stay here anymore. Like, what's an orphanage, And I went to my room crying and I want to move out and I hate my life and all that. But what that did was, and my dad's a great guy. He was brought up in Iraq and that's what he knew. And he wanted to scare to protect everybody and to keep us all in line. But what it did to me was broke down of what if everything I've been told by your parents who you love and they're your heroes, what if everything is wrong? And what if there's a different way? And so I started sneaking out and hitchhiking and would only get in cars with like dangerous people, like Hell's Angels types.
Stuff.
And then I would ask them, who are you? Why do you have piercings? Why do you have tattoos? Why are you broke? Why do you have this like shitty car?
You were on the East Coast at this stage?
No, San Diego.
You were in San Diego. Okay.
I was born in Detroit until 10 to 22. I was in San Diego.
Okay.
And moved to Los Angeles. Yeah. So nobody hurt me. And I did that at least, I don't know, I want to say a dozen times or so over a year. And everyone was like, an angel. I've traveled to over 60 countries. And so I think those were my first trips, because I always had this craving for traveling because they would take me on a little journey. They're like, where do you want to go? I'm like, nowhere. I just kind of wanted to get to know you. Like, even though I never knew you before, I wanted to know someone like you and pick your brain of why I'm supposed to be afraid of you. My dad said, be afraid of you. You guys, I can't walk on the street because you guys are going to come pick me up and hurt me. Why do you hurt people? Why would he say that if you don't hurt people? Where does this, just bombard them with questions.
Yeah.
And they all were so sweet and answered, and this is just who I am, and I like who I am, and I don't need millions. I'm happy living a smaller life and living each day to the fullest and chilling a lot, whatever their answers were. And I went, oh wow, so there's different ways of living, and just if someone looks a certain way doesn't mean they are a certain way, and we're all unique individuals. So I'm starting to
Absolutely.
put all these pieces together. There was a lot of prejudice in our family, and you have to be this way and that way. This is your political views. This is who you can marry. This is who you could be friends with, and you stay away from these people. And I'm like, oh, all that's not true. And you can hang out with anybody and everyone. It's the individual, not the culture, not the traditions, that was my thinking. So it really opened me up. And then when I was 22, I went to Madonna's first concert was at San Diego State, my college
Amazing.
of the Virgin Tour. And I'm like, oh my God, she broke away. She grew up with a patriarchal father and had all these siblings and all this drama. So how did she do it? So I'm like, I got to meet Madonna. So I went to the concert, found out where the band was playing, and I went to that hotel. And eventually they came after about an hour. I was just about to give up. I was with my girlfriend. Then we, snuck into the room with them, snuck into the elevator. And so I started talking to some of the members, and then of course they're like, oh, there's a lot of action going on, little, flirting and sexual stuff and a few drugs here and there. I'm like, oh, I can only stay here like 20 minutes because we have church tomorrow morning and we don't do this. And what? Why are you here? I'm like, my dad will get mad at me. He's like, you're 22. What are you talking about, you freak? And anyway, so we connected and we exchanged phone numbers and kept in touch for a couple of months, kept saying, come to Utah, come to Arizona, come to, wherever they were playing. I'm like, I'm not allowed to spend the night. He goes, you're almost 23. I'm like, I'm not allowed to spend the night until I'm married. Then we could go to. So finally I said, you know what, I'm going to go. Cause then they ended up in New York for 5 days to end her concert, 5 concerts there. And I said, I have to go to that. So I left a note. So sorry, I'm in New York. This opportunity, I'm gone. I'm safe. I'm gone. I'll be back. And I just went, and it was just so enlightening. And I said, Madonna, how do you become Madonna? This is my situation. I explained everything. Then she said, you have to travel and travel alone, because we're taught to, what do you want? Sacrifices everything. And do you want coffee? Oh, if you do, I'll have some. You don't want to go here? Okay, sure. Where do you want to go tonight for clubs? Wherever you want to go. What are you in the mood for? So because you have to know who you are. Know thyself, as Socrates says, right? So I did that. I started doing that. And then I just never stopped. It became like over 60 countries. And sometimes I'll have someone meet me there after a week or two, but I always travel alone, at least for a week in those places. Sometimes I traveled for a month. And I did those silent retreats, and I was in Kyoto and Nepal and all these amazing.
And when you were like discovering that this was your path, like all this solo traveling was your path, did your parents ever realize that this was what you were doing? You were escaping and you were finding out about different types of people. Did you ever get in trouble, or did you always cover your tracks?
Well, when I came back from New York, and then I went to Europe for a 2-week trip. Then when I came back to San Diego, they told everyone that her school took her there. It was geography class, a history class, and, to save face. And then I said, I have to move to LA. I've got to follow my journey. They're like, no. So it was like, oh, we're disowning you from, whatever. I'm sick, fine, disown me. But within a couple of months, they came around, and really my dad. And my mom was always okay with it, but my dad, she's American. And my dad finally said, okay, then let me come up to LA. And, he saw my apartment and freaked out because it was a gross, like, horrible roach infested blue shag carpet that I was sharing with a roommate, a girlfriend of mine, a 1-bedroom. So we shared a bed, all this gross, like, garage sale furniture. He's like, what are you living here like this for? You can't live like this. It was like his name or something. I said, I have to, Dad. And we had butcher paper on the wall for art. And then we draw on it or put, clippings from magazines. We had Rolling Stone and Vanity Fair, all these stuff there. And he's like, you can't live like this. It was like embarrassing for him to have it. I said, I have to live like this. I don't want your money, because I read in, all these stories, Barbara Streisand, Lauren Bacall, they all struggled. And I said, if you take the struggle from me, it's not about your destination. It's about the journey of getting there. And even if you never make it, it's still your journey. I said, Dad, I need this journey. This is what everyone did. I can't just go and have a nice place. I said, because then I'm going to miss out on this. So,
and
oh, my
what's your proudest moment of that time? Like what are you so proud of? And like, what was your favorite moment as well?
Well, there's so many. Maybe one of the proudest moments is quitting acting, because I got, after a year and a half, because I was getting so many Me Too moments, and, you know,
Really?
3 seconds of nudity, 5 seconds of nudity, jump on a bed here, do this there, and all these sex scenes. And all I could see is Muad and Riyadh and Saad and Rumsey and Zuhair and all that stuff. And I just couldn't handle that. And so I just, you know, said, I'm stopping, because everything, I'm working so hard for a career, then all this would get in the way and I would not take roles or take this. So I said, okay, maybe I'll be a writer or director, because I thought you had to be an actress because the psychic said you're going to be famous. And
Yeah.
women in my culture, you're not the boss, so you're an actor, so you're told what to do. You can't be the writer or producer or someone in charge. That was in my thinking. But as I was growing, I was like, oh no, I can do this. And I seen other role models doing it. So I started writing a script, and I actually met someone who took me to Tahiti. So I wrote it on Brando's island of how to write a screenplay in 21 days. So, okay, protagonist. Okay, now what do I do? Page 2, you add this, you add that. And it was a sweet little story. I was painting all the time. So it's about a girl who paints. And every time she wakes up in the morning, there was a symbol on her painting that she didn't paint, like a clue to something. She's like, what does this mean? So on a tour to all the art galleries of trying to figure out what the symbol means. And at the end, she finds out, and then she dies, you know, whatever. But they bought it, and then Orion went under, and it was a big studio like Paramount.
Wow.
And they said I'd have to pay 3 times the amount to get it back. And I didn't have money. So I'm like, oh, I got to become a producer and help raise the money. So I got offered to model in Tokyo, because I was still with an agent to do commercials, not film or TV. So I got that. So I went there. Then I started pushing. Long story short, because we don't have a long time on this call, but I ended up raising $1 million to do this movie. And then, but how I did it was, there was a board, you know, ball bearing company, robotic equipment. And, you know, as a model, everyone wants to hang out with you and be with you as an American model over there, and your face is plastered everywhere. So I said, I'm not going out anywhere unless people talk about my movie that I'm trying to raise money for. They're like, what's that? So anyway, I went out and they said, what's your movie? And I just went Psycho Sushi, which I didn't know, but I thought everyone was a little crazy and everyone ate sushi. What's it about? LA, because I'm from LA. Tokyo, because I'm in Tokyo. Then Hot Love, because I had all the hot, you know, the motels and all the sexy stuff I was into, and cold fish, because we always had cold fish. Okay, that sounds interesting. And it's, what is it about? A girl who goes to Japan and models, you know, gets mixed up with the Yakuza or whatever, and writes a tell-all book. So I was writing a book about my experiences there, and the Yakuza come and get her in America and all that. So anyway, they said, where's the script? I said, it's right here. I'm not giving it to anyone. What about the budget? You know, I said, the budget's right here. I said, it's $1 million. Like, how's it $1 million? How do you know? I said, everyone just puts in the numbers, because this is when Tarantino was doing Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And all these movies and all the independents, all of them were $1 million, because I was going to all those film festivals. So I just said, it's just $1 million. I don't know why. So you plug in the numbers. I said, then when you're done shooting, it's always $250,000 more for marketing, that they always ran out of money. So I'm going to hit you up for another, you know, $250,000 eventually after we shoot. So they started laughing. And I said, it's just the way it is. And I said, but this is not about, they said, what if we lose it? I said, it doesn't matter, because I learned from modeling there, they were paying such high taxes, like 60-70% of their money, and they can't own anything. They have to drive Toyotas, which is the company car, the computers, the company, their credit cards, the company, to go out and, you know, a network every night to all the clubs. And so I said, nothing's yours anyway. If you lose the $1 million, you just don't pay the taxes on the $1 million. So I said, what I'm going to do is give you stories when you're old, your legacy stories, to tell your children and grandchildren about your year in America. And I said, you're buying so much real estate. I will help you buy real estate with my friends, and you'll get a much better rate. Japanese come in, they double the price. You know, I said, at least add 20%. I said, then you're going to get to better your English, and you're going to get to meet American actresses. And that was, I was excited to them. So I said, this is about experience. You're buying an experience, not, it's, don't think of it as an investment. And they ended up giving me $1 million within 3 months. And I go, okay, now I got to write a script and put this together. And now I'm a director. And now I'm so I just
And did you
fell
feel
in.
like you took back control then? You left acting, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, then it was like, okay, I'm in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, they said you have to star in it because they said at least we'll get our money back in Japan because I was pretty big there. And I said, no, 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 you don't understand. I'm quitting acting. I want to direct. So we compromised where I had a small role. I made a character, a best friend of the star. So I was like 10 minutes of the movie. So
Uh,
I was kidnapped, then hidden away. So I was out of the movie for a while, then back and then done.
and so, where
So.
did the coaching evolve from? What happened that you started on that way of life?
Well, because then I decided after some of this stuff that something was still broken inside of me. I think when you
Okay.
have a traumatic experiences or someone's constantly telling you you're wrong or you have to think this way and be that way, there's a disconnect of knowing
Yeah,
who you really are. And I think if you don't know who you are, someone will tell you who you are. So it's
absolutely. Yeah.
really important to know thyself. So I thought, I need to go on my hero's journey. I'm sure you've heard of the hero's journey or the alchemist with Paulo
Oh,
Coelho,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
and really discover yourself alone and figure it out. So I was obsessed with Christiane Amanpour at the time. Do you know who she is? She was a war reporter.
Yes.
She's from Iran, and she was on CNN forever doing all the war reporting in Bosnia and Afghanistan. And I thought that would be a great job. So I heard Iraq, they were always in the war, the Gulf War, then Desert Storm. And their airlines were shut down, no fly zones. So you had to go to Jordan and take an 18-hour bus ride into Iraq. And I thought, I can do that because they said Al Qaeda, they didn't have that name. They said terrorists at the time, but it was Al Qaeda, sometimes goes on there and kidnaps Americans. So I thought I could go to Iraq, take this bus ride, get kidnapped, then I could write a book with Al Qaeda and I could bond with them because I bonded with the hitchhikers, the people I'd gone in the cars with. I said, I get along with the bad guy. So I said, I understand them. So I could bond with them, then write this book. Why do you want to kill people? Why do you torture people? Why are you doing, I thought I could do that with them. They'd say, oh, Lisa, of course, let's chat. And then I thought, then I could get it published, of course, because it would be fascinating. Then I could get on CNN, then I could become a war reporter and done. And then, so I planned all that and I went there and I go to New York International, then to go to Jordan. And I see a woman sitting there by herself for like an hour. So I go up to her, oh, where are you going, Jordan? And she goes, no, Iraq. I go, oh, where are you going by myself? I go, you're going to Iraq by yourself? Are you nuts? Did you know that the trains? She goes, yeah, I know. I said, what are you doing that for? She goes, oh, I'm going to kill myself. I'm like, what? And she's around my age. She said, and told me her story of how she's the prize of the family and they're forcing her to be like the lawyer and the good girl and she wants this whole different life and she can't, otherwise it's shame to the family, same situation stuff. And I said, well, I'm going there to get kidnapped and this is what I want to do. And she's like, oh my God. I said, let's do it together. She said, okay. So we went there together and on the bus, I had like a fake Louis Vuitton, fake cubic zirconia. Oh, you want my papers? Oh, here's my diamonds. My dad would kill me if I had these. Do you guys do this? Because I want to make these into rings over there. I heard gold there was good. Oh, my Louis Vuitton, nobody. Oh, Habibi, welcome, welcome. I'm like, what happened to the news saying all these terrorists? This is awful. So we made it there and went to all the danger zones, went here and went there. And her family's from Tilcap, also the Christian area, a small village with caves. And they just have a church, a restaurant, a school. And so we went there and we got a tour of her house. She moved when she was 4 and my dad lived right there too. So it was fascinating. And then I see an orphanage there. I'm like, oh, there's the orphanage. So I, beeline to the orphanage and I start talking to the kids. Who are you? What's going on? They say, oh, my dad died. My uncle lost his leg. This person, this. Why is everyone bombing us? Nobody cares. No one's here to protect us. The whole international community, especially Americans. And I said, I care about you. I'll memorialize your words. No, you won't. Yes, I will. How are you going to do that? I don't know. I'll figure it out. So I started recording them and, audio and video and writing notes. And then when I came back home, I thought, how am I going to memorialize their words?
Yeah.
Then that same Japanese company said, Lise, we want to offer you this job doing trade shows around the world, like 4 times a year to like go to Malaysia, go to Macau, go to Prague, go to Amsterdam, go to, whatever, Paris, all these places for 2 days. I said, well, I'll do it if you make it 10 days for me. You pay for a 10-day trip for hotel and, essentials, $100 a day or whatever, then I'll do it. And they said, okay. Cause I was really good with people and we already had a relationship and there was trust. So I started doing that. Then I ended up going, here it is. I wasn't thinking we were talking about this. So I ended up going to 15 orphanages in 5 years and interviewing kids and staying there and helping.
Wow.
Figured out, who are we and, what are we doing here? And it ended up like changing my life. So I wrote a little bit about the journey of the experience. And then this is like where I ended up going.
Wow.
And it was so fascinating. And I asked the kids 3 questions. Is God fair? Why or why not? If you had one wish, what would it be? And who in the world would you want to meet most and why? And just getting the answers from Australia, from Malaysia, from China, from Iraq, it was just so fascinating. And this took me on that journey. And then I said, now I want to adopt a child. And because I met some kids, then I met a guy and he saw me on this. He's like, oh my God, I want to help you publish it. And so I said, okay. And then we ended up getting married. Then he said, let's adopt a child because this is what you want to do. So we adopted a girl. And then I went to Barcelona. I said, I want to go live in Barcelona for a while because I love Europe so much. And I brought my daughter there. And then I gave this book out to schools and libraries and everywhere. And then I started getting asked to speak everywhere. Then the mayor got it because they wanted to talk to people who just moved to Barcelona and your experiences there, especially going in the school system because Ava was in the school system.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be in front of like 12 people, 15 people. It was like 500 or 1,000 people, huge audience, put me on stage. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not a speaker. I'm not anything. I'm not an author. I just whipped up this book, but I ended up sharing because I did fun facts and how to say like, hello, goodbye, I love you, and thank you in each language, and fun facts. Like, did you know in Singapore, you could get thrown in jail by chewing gum? Like all this stuff that I was doing. So I just did this thing. And then I got bombarded. We speak at this school, the 2nd graders, 6th graders, high schools, colleges. We go to this women's group, this yoga group, So all of a sudden it was, okay, now I'm an author speaker. And that's how it happened.
Wow.
So then when I went back to United States, I thought I should get a master's in psychology since I have all this street smart and all this. And it looks like I'm organically coaching people and working with kids. So I did that. Then they put me for my 3,000 hours in a jail, in a prison, Chowchilla prison for women. So I started working with them, and then it was changing lives. Like, what are you doing? And she called me soul blazing. She goes, Lisa, you blazed my soul with one of these inmates of going, therapy doesn't work on me. You can't do anything. At the end, she's like, oh, you blazed my soul. I'm like, you just gave me the name of my business.
Amazing. Amazing. And that's the name of your book as well, Soul Blazers.
Soul blazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a fun journey.
What is that? Is that like your journey that we've just spoken about, or is it more in depth?
Yeah, this is about transforming your imposters into superpowers to live a more purposeful, authentic life. And what I learned was that we all are trained to be a certain way by childhood. So this is your, boundaries. If I'm Middle Eastern, we're taught, you get married, by 25, otherwise you lose your shelf life. You have to cater to the man. Women always come second, always offer food and tea. And it's always what's best for the other person, sacrifices everything. You don't go out, you don't really date, you're proper, you don't laugh out loud, you don't smile showing your gum, just smile. You dance once on the dance floor, not twice, you're a whore, if you all these things. So that becomes, oh, this is who I am. Or you rebel against it and do the extreme opposite and destroy your life. So I'm looking at it going like, okay, how do you do this? So when talking to people, especially through my master's program, I worked with like hundreds of people. And I thought, especially in the prisons, and I worked with a lot of foster kids and a lot of orphans. And so I thought, what are they telling me? Where are they coming from? Oh, this person's coming from a victim mentality. This one's coming from an overthinker. Oh, I would love to do this and that, but I can't. I don't have the skill. I never went to college, or I don't have the money, or this one's a seductor, especially in Hollywood. I got men trying to seduce me. If you do this and that, I'll give you a role. And I got women that, oh, I did this and that, and I have shame about it. But hey, now I'm starring in this project and I'll deal with it. So it's seductor, they go through life, or the joker, where you throw someone under the bus for your humor, for your gain. It's only funny if both people are laughing, not if you
Yes.
use someone else's, and the fixer where, oh, I can't, and I'd love to do it, but my mom has cancer and my sister's got this, and I'm the only one who could take care of, your whole life is because you're afraid to look at yourself or to grow or to step into your own power. Or the judge, you're always just judging other people, and oh, look at that person, and look at that person. Oh, I hate money, and oh, look at that person is just always career oriented, or they're so family. It's so gross listening to them talk about their kids all the time. It's like whatever it is, it's always judging. So I'm like, oh, so there was about 15 of them that I found, but I go, let me kind of condense them into 7, so it's people could grasp it. So I thought, oh, we come into the world with our soul, our authentic soul, which is a seed. And this is who you're supposed to be in the world. It's your visionary. We're all given a seed that we're supposed to discover what that is and water it and give our gift to the world. And our imposters are our personality, our ego that was created in childhood, because life can't be just simple. Oh, let me just go on my journey.
Yeah.
Life is about the obstacles. That's what helps you grow. That's what makes it worthwhile. If everyone could be the biggest star in the world, it's not interesting. If everyone could be the president, it's not interesting. So what do you have to do to get there? So we create all these, what I call imposters, to get in your way and start sabotaging you. So you have to develop strength and strategies to conquer your own negative side to make it. And if you don't do this work and you make it, you're miserable. I've worked with a lot of people. My husband was a big television producer and showrunner and created, big hits on TV. And I was with all these top actors and filmmakers and so many other writers. Oh, another soul-sucking day. That's how they started their day. I'm like, you're writing the best comedy on TV. Are you kidding me? You're making gazillions of dollars and you have great kids and you're this another soul-sucking day. Are you crazy? You need soul blazing, dude. I would talk to them. They go, no, it's just the stress of coming up with something funny every day, the stress of the studio, and I only
and another person is looking at them, like another person's looking at them going, you have the ideal life, and it's so bizarre, isn't it? It's like the grass is not greener.
They're making almost $1 million a month, and then they get residuals on top of that forever. And really, your life's that horrible, and you work like 7 hours a day, and you get to create and meet all these amazing people and go on private planes to all these places with the studios. But I thought, oh, it's because they don't know themselves, and they're coming from a place of pleasing, and I'm not good enough, and nothing will be good enough. So if you don't do the work on yourself, you're going to be rich and unhappy. So I'm trying to teach people how to be rich and happy, how to be successful, but on your terms, where you're not doing the walk of shame, and you're not making choices out of desperation or to be loved. You love yourself first and say, now what choices do I want? And you could be aware of, oh, this is happening. This is an opportunity for growth. Why am I being offered this? Or why is this person doing this to me, without judging it, without saying, oh, I'm mad at you or I'm insulted. You just go, oh, interesting. Look at what's happening right now. Now I get a choice to choose which road or which path do I want to go on. So it really is a beautiful process. And I studied improv so much with the Groundlings. It's a big improv troupe here, like Second City and the Groundlings. And you get to be different people as you wear different masks. So like if you're playing, say, a character that's a wife, then you get to play the character that you're the wife, but you're also cheating. And now you're also the best wife there ever was. So you're wearing all these different characters of the same one to help express and to help, know your backstory. You create a backstory. So then when you do the scene, you have so much more texture and depth to your part. And I thought, oh my God, if I put this into my therapy practice. So what I do is I get people and they come in and I'm like, okay, stand up, turn around, do this, do that. And I give them all these improv exercises. And they're like, what's going on? It's like, this is how you grow. And then you just see substantial growth and fun and laughter. So when I do big events, I bring people up on stage and I have them do all these improvising scenarios. Like I was told go to Singapore and speak with like a week's notice, and it was all men, and it was a business and sales big retreat, and it was a couple of days, and it was like 500 Asian men from all over in their blue and gray suits. And I was already in Japan, so I understood them very well. So I'm like, I don't do business. I don't do sales. That's not my thing. They go, just do you. We need a female. There's 7 men. We just need a female. So they flew me in, and I go up there when I go on stage, and I had nothing, no show, no slideshow, no content. How many of you know what a soul blazer is? Of course, nobody raises their hand. Okay, we'll learn. Come up. I need a volunteer. Nobody raised. I said, I was already paid. If someone doesn't come up here, I'm out of here by the count of 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then someone comes up. I'm like, great, sell me something. And then they're, sure, here you go. And oh my God, I'm so bored. How many feel disconnect? Now go across the stage and just go and be like this tiger. They're like, oh no, because they're so concerned. Come on, let's do it. And I get their arms, and they start doing it, and they do it more and more. Everyone's laughing. Then I say, sell me something. And then they, because now they're familiar with me. They're giggling. And they sell, and everyone's like, oh, like impressive. And then they see the difference in like 1 minute that you could have once you get into your skin, into your body, and step into your power. And then I got rated the highest speaker there, and I just winged the whole thing, just goofing off and laughing with people.
And you're really just giving them courage to be themselves.
Yes. And it taught them something, that all you have to do is flip the switch, and you get to be who you truly feel you are inside, but it's boxed up. You don't have the confidence to just like, hi, how are you? You have to go, hi, nice to meet you. This is how you're trained. This was their box growing up. You always have to be super proper and this and that. You don't get to just say, hey, buddy, what's going on? And it just freed them up so much. And then, of course, at the end, I said, if you want private coaching, because I want to go to Bali, and it's right there. It's a jump, skip away. And I said, I'm doing a retreat there for 2 days. It's $5,000 a person. I'm only taking 5 people. Wherever go to the back of the room now, first 5 people, and boom. So then there was like all this extra money, and it was going to 3 hours a day for 2 days. And I stayed there 10 days, and it was like, great. It's
such a great story of how you use your power, it's like going into a room full of suited men when you've sat in a car with a Hell's Angel, or you've gone to, it's not a daunting situation. It's part of you. And what do you do to work on your authentic soul? Like, do you have to keep working on that daily or?
Daily. If I don't do it for a week or 2, I start to go into, I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. I have imposter syndrome. Why are you calling to talk to me? I know nothing. I'm little Lisa from San Diego, little Chaldean girl. All of it comes back, and it's just like horrifying. I'm like, what the heck? What is going on? So I have up in my room here, they say you are the 5 closest people to you. Mm-hmm. You're a amalgamation of them. So I have Gandhi, I have Simone de Beauvoir, Herman Hesse, Oprah, Anais Nin, Maya Angelou, Pablo Picasso, Wayne Dyer, Audrey Hepburn. So I have all these people that I look at, and I know the aspect of them that I like, and I've written it down. And then I have my, whatever issue, I do something called a mind dump. Okay. So you just close your eyes, set the alarm for, 2 hours. 2 minutes. And you just write down your thoughts. Boom, boom, boom. What's coming to me? Oh, I've got this. I'm nervous about that. Or this person said this to me, and I've got to figure that one out. And you write it down and you go, oh my God, almost all your thoughts are negative. And they say you have 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and they're repeated. And you keep saying them for year after year. I've had clients that, in 7th grade, my dad said I was dumb, so I never went to college, and I never amounted to anything. So like 30 seconds of your life when you were like 14 or 15, you're going to base your whole life on. Are you kidding me? So I wrote down like, I always say yes to people because that's what I'm trained to do. So I'm the master of the word no, so you turn it to the opposite. As a person living in Hollywood, we're always aging. So I'm a timeless, ageless goddess, just like Audrey Hepburn or somebody like that, right? I'm the undisputed champion of self-forgiveness because we all beat ourselves up. So I'm the champion of forgiving myself and others. I stand in my optimal brilliance because why not? Why stay in your weakness or not being smart? So if I'm creating something, I'm in my optimal brilliance in my work, in my books, and everything. I experienced the support of everyone around me because, of course, when you're in Hollywood, people are jealous of you, jealous of your success. And People always trying. So no, that's not my experience. Everyone supports me. Then when you have that, when you meet people,
Yes.
they shift and
Yeah.
some of that energy goes away and they're there for you. I stand in my vulnerability because I don't want to just be perfect all the time. I think it's important to share. I still go through that, even though I've done this work for 15 years.
Absolutely.
It's, you can't say,
Absolutely.
oh, I'm perfect and I don't have it. I do. I've got a ton of insecurities, but I do all this work daily and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll figure it out. And when you do it, and then you claim it each day. So if someone says, how are you? Oh, I wake up each morning with clarity, because sometimes I've been waking up with brain fog. So I'm going, cancel, cancel.
Mhm.
Oh, I wake up each morning with clarity. How are you doing? So you start incorporating your new affirmations into your life.
Yes.
And you can get them from the internet and stuff, but I think it's more important to create them from your own personal thoughts and do the reverse on them and declare it as a declaration and then use it in your daily life.
Love it. And I love the fact that you brought up the word no, because like no is a complete sentence. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
powerful. It's powerful. The business side of things, how do you keep on top of that? Like you what do you keep control of and what do you delegate? Do you try to delegate a lot or yes?
Yeah. In the beginning, it was hard because you don't have the money, but
Yeah.
I did trades with people. Oh, you're good at social media. I'm good with writing. I'll
Yes.
write your stuff. You post my stuff or do the, graphic design. So I
Yeah.
did that a lot. Will you come over and help me organize? I will come over and help you write your book. I'll give you an outline. I'll give you so I did a lot of that. So now I have a team. I hired one woman who has her team that does all my social media, my newsletters, all of that stuff. Does my optimization and YouTube and
Yeah.
whatever, all that stuff. So what I do is I write the content in just a word form. I give it to them and I do a lot of interviews and I like this. So
Yeah.
they would take this interview and then take some of the stuff I said and make it into a newsletter.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's my words, my stuff. I have 3 or 4 books and they take from that. Then they show it to me. Like
What
today we went over it at 10 to 11 for all of August. So that's
okay.
that's 4. So we have our game plan for each quarter. What's the messaging? What do we want to share? What's the call to action? And then we start layering it and putting it out based on my content.
And I love that because like my next thing to ask you was about efficiencies and using this and using other pieces of content to be more efficient, because you don't have to create something new all the time. You use what you have.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. What piece of advice would you give to a busy one-to-one coach? Because like, I mean, a lot of people start out and, they might have 40 hours in the diary, but it's, one-on-one and maybe not very monetarily inviting. What would you say to somebody who's trying to reach a wider audience?
I would do group Zooms.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I started doing because I had that same issue. So now I have 2 groups that are about 35 or 40 in each one, and each pays $25 a week.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of money at the end of the day because you're doing a lot more people, 35,
Yeah.
40 people. And then it's worth your time. It's just 1 hour and you're with all these different people who are getting benefits. But
Yeah.
then I created content and, little workbooks and exercises and tools, and I give them that also, but I already did it. So sharing it's not extra work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. What are the 3 biggest lessons that you've learned since you started in business?
Since I
Or
started in business,
yeah, what would you
uh,
say that if you, I mean, if there was anything, I know that we learn from failure, but if there was anything that you go back and go, okay, I will not make that mistake again, or I will not do that again.
I would probably say I would get a coach early on,
Okay.
or a mentor, even if it's a friend.
Yeah.
Um, and even if it's a dead person, like if you don't have money at all, getting a good book from someone who you really admire. Like if you're saying, oh, this is the direction I want to go in. I would read their book, read it again. Like Think and Grow Rich is a great book.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill, it's timeless. I read that book like 10 times, in
Okay.
1 year. And then I read it every year for like 5 years, just going, oh, this is how you create a goal. It's so simple. And I think so many people back in the 40s and 50s and 60s wrote such great stuff that still works. So I would just absorb myself into what you want to do and who's the leader in that field, either alive or past. And I would just take that on. And then I would start, if you have the finances, start taking a couple of their workshops or webinars, because they're all over today, much easier to access than before because
Yes.
it's Zoom. And I would take some of these classes and yeah, learn from them. And a friendship is everything. It's not who you know, it's who knows you and who likes you. So I would really start the outreach of creating community.
Mhm.
And if you want to be a leader, start being a leader. I have events at my house all the time, like 4 or 5 times a year with 150 people, and maybe 4 or 5 times a year with 30 or under, like 15 to 30 people.
Mhm.
And what that does is help people get to know you better.
Yeah.
And it's connecting people, and they're growing and learning together. So they're always going to associate you with, oh my God, I learned so much, or I grew so much. So
Brilliant.
I would definitely bring in community, because that's super important. You can't make it alone. Get a coach or a mentor, even if it's a book, and that's your mentor. And I'd study it every day for an hour. That's why I work with these people, all my mentors. So I have their books around and I read passages from them, just open and go, okay, what are you thinking, to
Yeah.
get that inside me to help me make decisions when the right decision comes along. And
That's such good advice, because we think that you have to go to somebody for that, and like books are there, books are
yeah,
available, and it's such a not expensive source of information as well, which is
exactly.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
To
and you
have
can even get a lot of it online, just Googling the person and reading. And but I found so YouTube videos, you get some of these older people that have been around forever speaking. And I have a couple of my favorites. I love Sadhguru right now, so I listen to his stuff a lot. And that's instead of watching the news, I do that because the news drives me crazy. It's not even, nobody's for the people anymore. It's all
yeah,
about
yeah,
just who's going to get more money in politics.
yeah.
And so that's just so frustrating. So I said, you know what? I can't make a difference in that area. Let me focus on what I can. Let me keep growing, learning, and staying in a place where I'm calm and I have clear thinking, so I could help others do that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. What about you for the future? Have you anything in the pipeline coming up that you can talk about? Have you any projects?
Yeah, I actually teamed up with Larry Namer, who co-created E-Entertainment, that big platform. And now he's creating another one. So I'm creating a reality show of soul blazing. So
Wow.
yeah, I have to turn it in by September 1st. And then I have to create the deck now. I just created the show. Now I have to make it pretty and present it. And I'm finishing up my book. I have a strong first draft. So now I've got to just sit on it and go over it. It's called Under a Baghdad Roof. And it's part of the story I told you about going on your hero's journey.
Oh, amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Back,
brilliant.
talking back. Yeah.
At Corporate Cam, we're about taking a risk to create your own happiness. What advice would you give to somebody who's just sitting, procrastinating? What would you say to them about just maybe taking that leap into the unknown?
Well, if they're sitting home alone and unhappy, that means their imposters are out. They've got one of these imposters. I'd go to my website, take the imposter quiz, and find out which imposter is dominating your life. And I
Lovely.
would really focus on why you feel that way. I do a morning routine, something for the mind, body, heart, soul every day. So I read something for the mind. I exercise, even if it's everything you could do for 1 minute. You could do the whole thing in 5 minutes, or it could be an hour. I do stretching, or I go for a walk or a jog or a hike, but even just stretching for a couple of minutes. I write something nice to somebody. I love you and thank you for this, something of gratitude for the soul. And so when you do something in each area, you start liking yourself better. And when you give back, so if someone's sitting home, I would first do this morning routine. I would look myself in the eyes in the mirror and say, I love you, and say your name and look at yourself until you really feel it. Because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to do anything for yourself, because you're not worthy. And I would do volunteer work. Anytime I did volunteer work when I was in a slump, I started liking myself more, because I was seeing the difference I was making in other people's lives. So it then brought other opportunities. People saw me doing that. Oh, you come work on this. Will you do that? Then I met people and just life unfolds. But if you isolate and just, having a pity party for yourself alone, you'll never get out of it. You'll go to drugs, alcohol, TV, just self-destruction, overeating. But if you get out there, just walk out the door and who can I help? So many people need help. And then when you're helping yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
work
it.
is the most selfish thing you can do in a way,
Every episode of Corporate to Calm, I have a quick fire round for our guests, and it's just a quick this or that. So, Lisa, group or one-to-one work?
Group.
In person or online?
In person.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
The sun or the slopes?
The what?
The sun or the slopes?
Sun.
Book or a podcast?
Book.
At home or traveling around?
Traveling.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
And teaching or learning?
God, both. Teaching.
Yeah, you can have both. You can have both.
Yeah.
Where can listeners find you?
Soulblazing.com is my website, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn under Lisa Haisha, LisaHaisha.
Oh, yeah. Lisa, thank you so much for being part of the Corporate to Calm podcast. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. It was really fun. You're really terrific.
I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Corporate to Calm podcast. Please subscribe, leave a nice review. It really does make a difference. Or simply come back and listen to us next time. My name is Linda Monaghan, inspiring you to take that leap from corporate to calm.